pleasant afternoon to everyone. A few reminders before we commence. Please use your complete names on your screens for easy identification. We will be recording this webinar for our documentation and promotional initiatives by Benilde's Arts and Culture Cluster. We remind everyone to stay on mute so we can direct our attention to the program and avoid unnecessary noises. Opening of cameras remains optional. Allow us to begin with today's prayer to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
Let me be the change I want to see. To do with strength and wisdom all that needs to be done, and become the hope that I can be. Set me free from my fears and hesitations. Grant me courage and humility. Give me the spirit to face the challenge and start the change I long to see. Today I start the change I want to see. Even if I'm not the light, I can be the spark in faith, service and communion. Let us start the change we want to see, the change that begins in me. Today I start the change I want to see. Even if I'm not the light, I can be the spark in faith, service and communion. Let us start the change we want to see, the change that begins in me. Live Jesus in our hearts forever.
Mayang magiliw, kaya sa silangan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lumang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiging, sa manlulupig, di ka masisi. Sa dagat at mundong sa simoy at sa langit mamahal, may nilagang tulad, awit sa panlayang minamahal. Ang kislap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagbibigay. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di magdidilim. Lupa ng araw na luwal, ating pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya lamang may mga mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Pleasant afternoon to everyone. I am Magda De Leon, the Associate Dean of Benilde's Arts and Culture Cluster. Benilde's Arts and Culture Cluster, or BACC, operates under the School of Design and Arts of De La Salle College of St. Benilde. BACC is one with its programs, namely Arts Management, Dance, Design Foundation, Music Production, production design, and theater arts, and striving to be a leader in creative education by instigating progressive, inclusive, and ethical artistic process. Our warmest welcome to everyone as we engage in one of the many iterations of Benilde Back Talks 2021, a series of conversations on creative interventions, engagement, impact, and artistic process. We've kicked off Benilde BaccTalks 2021 with tall tales of a traveling school artist with Dr. Sunita S. Mukhi, followed by Portrait of Brother President as Artist, featuring Benilde Brother President Edmundo Fernandez, FSC. Today, we are delighted for this opportune moment to feature the works of our theater arts students. Through him, her, students express themselves in the dramatic pieces that were part of their final project for their History of Asian Theater and Directing 2 classes. This webinar will be facilitated by Benilde's Arts and Culture Cluster's very own Dr. Sunita S. Mukhi, a thespian, writer, artist, arts advocate, a scholar, and our students' professor in the History of Asian Theater and Directing 2 class. Should you have questions about the talk, please course them through the chat box. Doc Suni will accommodate them during the open discussion. Good afternoon, Doc Suni.
Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? I'm so happy to be back with all of you doing these back talk webinars. Last week, we were so fortunate to be able to discover who Brother Dodo is as an artist, not only just as the Benilde president, but also as an artist. So we were very lucky to have that. Today, we shall experience the talents of our students in theater as they express themselves in these dramatic pieces that were part of their final projects in my classes in Asian Theater and Directing 2. So we're calling this virtual theater or VITEA. I am fascinated that our BACC students have prevailed despite the lockdown, the lack of a conventional stage. Theater is surviving in these modest performances that have been taking advantage of the internet, the cell phone, YouTube, Zoom, like now with you. Of course, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little bit tense that the internet will be unstable, the Wi-Fi may not work, power may go off, things will not be synced, that we may have problems. Plus, of course, this whole process of virtual performance is a huge experiment and maybe even a huge, huge compromise for us who love live performance, who yearn for the warmth of the audience's applause, the heat of the stage lights, the explorations of emotion, the plot, the subtext, face to face during rehearsals with our directors and our co-actors. We miss that so much. But you know, we just gotta perform. We gotta do what we gotta do. So dear audience, thank you for supporting us today. Even if many of you were required to come by me, but no less, I am sure our artists today need your presence and generosity. Please feel free to use the chat, the reaction section, show your face to show your appreciation, even as the performance is going on. I guess not while the performances are going on because you should be on mute and the video off, but you can use the chat to show your appreciation. By no means are these performances perfect, but they are full of heart and sincerity and originality. So permit me to begin with a provocative, maybe even controversial piece that tackles a moral issue from an unusual perspective, using the aesthetics of coming from Japanese Buto, an avant-garde movement that emerged from Japan's post-World War. after it was devastated by the nuclear fallout of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This seeks to express something visceral, dark, broken, with distorted movements that are equally dark, equally earthy and visceral. This piece is accompanied by a beautiful Visayan lullaby and an eerie expressiveness. This is Kasalanan Ko Ba by R.J. Rosales.
Salamat. At nakahinga na po ako. Wala naman po akong kasalanan. Mas pipiliin ko pang makulong kaysa pilitang palabasin. Sa natitirang buwan ng aking pananalagi, bakit hindi na lang ako hayaang manatili? Sa pagdaan ng mga araw, habang ako ay nasa loob pa, nararamdaman ko ang hirap ng aking buhay. Hindi normal sa dapat kong maramdaman. Sa mga susunod na araw, ay mas tumitindi itong sakit. Nasaan ako? Nasaan ako? Bakit ako nandito? Pinalaya na niya ako nang hindi pa panahon. Masyado pang umaga para dito. O sinadya niyo para mawala ako. Di man lang ako hinayaang makita ang mundo. Di man lang ako hinayaang pagkakataon upang may galaw ang katawan ko. Ang makadama ng pagmamahal galing sa aking mga magiging magulang. Wala naman po akong kasalanan. Ang katawan kong nababalot ng pula, pilit na gumagalaw sa isang lata, nalulunod sa pighati ninyong dala. Wala naman po akong kasalanan. Maaaring kasalanan ko nga. Kasalanan ko na magiging miserable ang buhay mo kapag pinagpatuloy pa. Maaring bunga ako ng isang aksidenteng hindi mo masisikmura. Kaya ang naging desisyon mo ay mawala na lang ako. Sino magtatanggol sa akin? Sinong lalaban para sa akin? Bakit kailangan akong ibalaglag? Kasalanan ko po ba?
Oh my, may we call upon RJ to join us.
Hello po.
Hello, RJ.
Good afternoon po.
When I first saw this piece, I was also shaken by it. And again, now that I see it, I still feel the same way. So tell me, RJ, what is this about? Why?
Okay. Buto was first performed in Japan after the Second War. Buto is a dance of darkness, like a dead body standing on the ground. Kung kayo ay makakapanood ng isang Buto performances mula sa Japan, yun yung mapapansin na yung buong katawan nila ay nababalot ng puti. Nababalot sila ng puti and it symbolizes the ashes from the nuclear explosions during the war. In my situation, I use lighting to incorporate that idea. Ginamit kong kulay ng ilaw is red na sumisimbolo sa dugo na nabalot sa kanya bago siya ipalaglag. But the most important element in Buto performances is this distorted body movement, the darkness, and the emotion. Actually, hindi ko kinoreograph yung buong performance ko. I just make a storyline kung ano yung dapat magyari, kakahinatnan nung movement ko. Pero mas pinili kong mas pakinggan yung music habang sinasayaw yun. And then, dun lang lumalabas ng puso yung movement. And the reason why I chose the topic, which is the abortion, is because the movement of a baby inside their mother's womb was the first idea that crossed my mind while we were discussing Buso Theater in our theater history class with Doc Suni. Kaya naisip ko na magsulat tungkol sa abortion at nabuo itong Kasalanan Ko Po Ba. Yeah.
Thank you so much, RJ. You've been getting quite a number of comments in the chat. Very interesting. I love the message. Stellar delivery, timely message. I got the chills. Ang galing. Somebody said ang lungkot. And you've been getting some applause. Thank you very much, RJ. We will entertain questions a little later at the end, towards one of the last things we'll do today. For our next exploration is a clever use of technologies that we have resorted to in this lockdown. In creating this piece, Michael Hilao has revived an old Japanese folk story of a nanny who has been tasked to find a human liver to save the child that she is taking care of for some disease that she has. Very loyal to her masters, she sets out to look for that liver, leaving behind her own child protected with an amulet. Okay? It takes her many, many years to look for this liver. But one day, an innocent woman crosses her path and she pounces on her and takes the liver, only to discover that, yes, you guessed it, it's her own baby girl she has slaughtered. Of course, she goes nuts. She becomes mad, a demoness, terrorizing passers-by, threatening to slurp up their livers. Very gory. In this piece, our demoness may be visiting you right here, right now, right in front of you. Let's see.
Sino yan? Hello? Hello, sino to? Hello? Teka, mahina yung signal. Hello? Hello? Wala naman. Hello, kanina ka pa.
Tulong! Tulungan mo ako!
Ha? Sino to?
Ang anak ko! Tulungan mo
Hindi,
ako!
asan ka ngayon?
Hindi ko sinasadya. Hindi ko sinasadya.
Teka lang. Sandali lang, kumalma ka. Tutulungan kita. Asan ka?
Talaga? Tutulungan mo ako?
Asan ka ngayon? Ano to? Anong ginagawa mo? Pakawalan mo ako dito!
Ang akala ko ba tutulungan mo ako?
Ha? Anong ibig mong sabihin?
Ang anak ko. Kailangan ka ng katawan para naibalik siya.
Wag po! Pakawalan niyo ako dito! Tulong!
Walang tutulong sa'yo.
Sino ka ba? Ha? Wala naman akong kasalanan sa'yo. Utang na loob. Pakawalan mo na ako dito.
Sino? Ako? Ako ay isang Alibaba.
Alibaba?
Isang demonyo.
Tulong! Nagmamakaawa ako sa'yo.
Awa? Walang awa-awa. Kinaawaan ba nila ako?
Pakawalan mo na ako dito.
Mahal na mahal ko ang anak ko. Isa siya sa mga pinakaiingatan ko sa lahat. Pero isang araw, napagputusan ako ng mga amo ko na maghanap ng atay ng bata para sa anak nila. Hindi ko inaasahan na makuha ako ang atay ng sarili kong anak.
Kasalanan mong lahat yan. Huwag mo akong idamay.
Kasalanan nito lahat ng nanay mo.
Anong ibig mong sabihin?
Siya ang umutos sa akin kumuha ng atay ng isang bata para mailigtas ang supling nila. Kung hindi dahil sa kanya, buhay pa sana ang anak ko. Ngayon ang kaarawan ng pagkamatay ng nanay mo. Ito na ang araw na nakakaroon ako ng kapangyarihang bumalik sa lupa para paghigantihan ang ginawa niya sa akin. Pinakahihintay ko ang araw na to.
Wag! Pagkasan.
Michael,
Hi.
is that really you, Michael?
We're not sure. Maybe I'm possessed.
Yeah, talking
Yeah.
about possessed, what possessed you to do this?
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Hilao, batch 119, AB Theater Arts, and the idea came from a folktale called Onibaba. And Japanese theater really loves to explore the supernatural aspect, like ghosts, monsters, demon. So what I did is that how can I create a performance virtually, since Japanese theater uses set designs, props, very elaborate makeup and big costumes. And I only have limited sources to do it. So I thought about making it modern. And an idea also came to mind. How about I'll use the computer as part of the story and also a character, ganon. And I know that I'm not an expert in filmmaking, but it taught me to explore that side of performing. And since I am still learning, I feel like stepping into this type of performance digitally will help me learn and discover new things. Like, for example, it taught me to learn basic editing. And even if we're not standing into that stage, we find ways to create. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Here are some of the responses of people. They're scared, and they're scared. Somebody said, "Oy, bonga queen." Okay. Oh no, what a twist! The eyes. Oh my God! Wow, etc. So we will be able to. You've been getting some applause, of course, and we are going to discuss more about this later on. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you, sir.
All of us have been affected by this lockdown. Some of us more than others. Some have lost people. Some have even gotten sick themselves, or a loved one has gotten the disease. Some of us are recoiling from the isolation, not knowing what's going to happen. How are we going to do this? What's going on ba talaga? The vaccine is here, but some of us doubt it. Some of us are hopeful. Some of us are anticipating. We may have a flicker of hope, and yet, we're finding ways to deal, or not, or can't. And yet, Here is a moving piece by Jerry Isobel Cruz, which teeters on the brink of hopelessness. But then there is a fragile flicker of joy, perhaps, in Lost and Found. So there's always a silver lining. Unfortunately, Jerry could not join us today, but I will read excerpts of her statement. The performance is very close to my heart, as I felt that I have given justice to my own feelings and the authenticity of my performance. The concept of my performance is how I feel lost with all the recent happenings and finding myself again by focusing on my surroundings and my passion. She uses both Buto and the theory of rasa. Buto for the sadness and rasa for the emotions. The rasa or the emotions are karuna, sadness, bhayanaka, fear, hasya, joy, shanti, peace. And there are some symbolisms that she wants to clarify. Of course, the red lighting, as some of you have noticed, red lighting represents the nightmare, dark, heavy thoughts. She feels lost and not being able to find the right path. And then there's the blindfold, which shows that she is turning a blind eye to the things around her that can help her get better or can help her find herself. Then she says, next, when I was crying blood, it means whenever I can't speak my emotions or my feelings to someone, I tend to cope by crying. She feels exhausted, tired. And then the use of the red lipstick is whenever she tries to tell people about her problems, sometimes they're so self-obsessed, they don't care. But there is hope. So that's why the color is yellow. She plays the ukulele. She plays with her cat, who are also the characters in this lovely, lovely piece. And she uses her phone, of course, to connect with people, with her family and friends. This part is where I found myself and the feeling of love and contentment from it. So there is this piece, lost, and I think quite profound. Thank you very much, Jerry. And now we come to our feature presentation, an innovative exploration of love, of men, women, and the tenuousness of being with each other. We desire, but it hurts. It's frustrating, oh, but so delightful, at times harrowing. Is it worth it? And yet, we want love even just for a few moments. Directed by Kyla, Ravago, and Samantha, Campos. Him, Her is derived from many sources brought together in this series of monologues performed by our guests, Walker Martinez and Samantha Sandoval.
Hi, my name is Sam, and I'm the director of The Story of Him.
And I'm Kyla, and I directed her side of the story.
So, Him, Her is a series of monologues about two individuals going through a relationship. Now, you may ask why there are no specific names in the story, why it's him, her. Well, it's because it could be anyone. Kyla and I wanted to share these stories that speak shared universal truths, something that anyone can relate to and what some may be going through today.
In this digital era, especially in the new normal, the quality of our relationships are more apparent now than ever. So in hopes of capturing this and emphasizing it, Sam and I created this piece that presents the reality in a way that is rid of any unnecessary embellishments that we feel romanticize it. So we started our process by collecting anonymous letters through a form that we passed along through our friends and which they then passed on. And with the letters and the writings that we collected from it, we started developing him and her and the through line of their story or their relationship. So from there, we started picking out which words, which ideas, which sentiments we believed were more apt for him and which we felt resonated more with her. And then when all that was properly laid out, we started working on the pieces separately.
For the character of him, I was inspired by Joe Goldberg from the Netflix series You. So I got excerpts from the show, mostly of his internal dialogues that would match the story that Kyla and I were creating.
With her, I was mostly inspired by spoken word poetry. So using the letters as a foundation for her character, I started looking into spoken word pieces that I felt could be adapted into monologues, with the permission of the author, of course, to create her voice. Then from there, when everything was written down, I had a series of dialogues with my actor on how to turn this concept of a character into a living, breathing individual. And when all that was said and done, we stitched it up together and created this piece. So without further ado, we present to you and her
The two sides of their story.
Hope you enjoy.
Well, hello there. Who are you? Based on the house, I'm guessing subsidized school housing? Definitely more than you can afford. Big windows, bare. Oh, Jesus, it's like you've never seen a horror movie or the news. But I'm not complaining. Frankly, you are a natural beauty. Seeing as you gracefully walk around the room in your own little bubble, it's like you want people to watch. Huh. I have to ask you about this trait when we get to know each other better. You got your eyeliner perfect in the mirror, but your hair, you put up and you don't care if it's crooked. That's good. Not caring too much. Your sweater's loose. You don't want to be ogled. Look, those bracelets, they jangle. You like a little bit of attention. Huh. How about a proposal? You and me spend the whole day together. Okay. It's a date.
Hey, you look nice. What's wrong? You still have those tired eyes from never catching a break. I see that you still keep putting one foot in front of the other on a plank above black, black waters. You know, it hurt me to watch you struggle. It pained me to watch you sustain a body you didn't even want to keep. So I'm happy you've met someone who will love it for you. I am sorry, though, that you can never separate yourself from me. That your newfound glory rests atop this dusty pile of limbs. I am sorry that you now carry the weight of your parents' breakdowns. I am sorry that your fingers now falter when reaching for your best friend's hand. I am sorry that when someone tries to love you, I now slither out your throat like a monster awakening. That when he searches the lines of your body for a kind poem, he still finds shut eyes and clenched fists. I am sorry, because he seems really nice, and I wish that you let him in. Let him show you how to live. And for your parents, who stand by you like a pillar to rest against. For your best friend, who still sees the universe in your eyes. And for your lover, who keeps a tally of your scars and kisses them every night. Let him show you how to live, for you are loved dearly. And though I too love you, I know I can never love you enough. So I love you the best way that I can. I love you by letting you go. Think no more of me than a painful memory you've grown from, and let him love you the way you deserve to be loved. And trust me, you look beautiful.
When I met you, I started to dream again. All I knew was that you were beautiful. It was so comforting to see you amidst an environment so damning. Your mere presence was like starlight, and I'm left in awe as a mere stargazer. You smiled at me, laughed at my jokes. You told me your name and asked for mine. Then, for some reason, it happened. I fell in love with you. I am in love with you. I've written you 3 poems already. You'll never hear it. I can't risk that. And yet I know you may never fall in love with me. That doesn't matter. I will help you get the life you deserve. Yes. People find happiness. They find the one. I believe in that. I try to stay open for you. I was in love once. She broke my heart, you know. The last one. She really did a number on me. You could say I'm surprised I'm still standing. In many ways, though, it was my fault. I should have seen the signs. They were blatant. But we never do see the signs when we're in love. Exhibit A. My neighbor. She's a nurse. A single parent. You think she knew he was an alcoholic shitbag when she fell in love? No. She thought he was a prince on a goddamn horse. And me? You'll never hurt me. I'll always stay by your side. I'll be your friend, and I'll never leave you. times have gotten tough, but I refuse to succumb. As long as I remain by your side every step of the way. You've allowed me to witness fragments of your life and how much pain you've been through. I know how much you've been trying to push forward, and I'm proud of where you are now. But you've been trying to push me away. I refuse to believe that you don't feel it too. You deserve happiness in all its blissfulness. But you deserve love in its purest form. You deserve glory. But at the end of the day, I can't force you to be someone you're not. You've done so much for me. And I hope I did the same for you. Believing in something you don't want to is torture. It's shattering in ways that are surprisingly indifferent. The point is, love isn't tricky. It's a trick. A guy needs to protect himself. I have to be sure we're safe. There are terrifying people out there. You know that. But you know my past now. I have to make sure you're safe. I'm going to save you, my love. But, like I said, I can't make you love me when you love someone else.
I know I've stayed longer than I should have. I stayed because I always thought that this would get us to where I wanted it to. Let's start this with something as simple and as complicated as I love you. I love you in the way that a little girl patches up her shoes, no matter how many times they fall apart. I love you in the way that a parent cannot pull the plug on their only child despite the cancer in their boy's lungs. I love you in the way that I pray every night that I wake up to another day to love you, like a daily routine. But at some point, I stopped seeing the future I was so excited for. At some point, loving you felt like binding myself to the bed as our house burned down. Loving you felt like water pouring down my throat and drowning and choked off tears. Loving you felt like venom, like rope turned noose, chain, and ball. loving you felt like staring up at the stars and finding out that the constellations we both traced in our names have long since been gone. Yes. Yes. I still love you. Even if it's hard to. Is it worth it to love you? I'm just thankful that you're still around for me to love. So I'll stay. Because you asked me to. I'll stay because I love you. There's your answer. But loving you feels like dying.
Love. This is why you're not for me. Once upon a time, I believed in love. Sure, I'd been hurt before, but I learned from that, and I want to fight for a fresh start. The real thing this time. So, boy meets girl. Boy knows this is something special, and he thinks, let me do everything I can to make this right. So, I did. It was brave. I was vulnerable. I won her the old-fashioned way. I tried to do everything right for her. I knew you had to do everything for love. I did whatever I had to, whatever it took. But she did not trust me, so she started asking questions about the past. She started digging for stuff that should have stayed buried. I picked wrong. I made mistakes. Love had me blind. And now, love turned to poison. And when love dies, it hurts. The bottom line is, she couldn't love me back. And our love died. I thought that was the end. A sad story. A broken heart I'd have to heal from to love again. But no. There was more hurt in store. The only fresh start is a start without love. But then, I met you. In my dreams, she's alive. She forgives me for everything I did. She apologizes for everything she did. And she says, don't worry, everything's okay now. The pain is gone forever. But then I wake up and remember, it's hard to have a fresh start when the past is in your mind. Maybe I don't need to shut down forever. Maybe I don't need to run away so fast. I think love should come out of nowhere, sweep you up completely, but let's not conflate optimism with solitude. Fools do rush in. And I've been fools more than once. What I am is all that stands between you and people who are worse. No. This isn't me. Is it? I thought I only ever acted from a place of love. Have I been fooling myself, refusing to face who I really am? Dostoevsky wrote, "If a man has a conscience, he will suffer for his mistake. That will be his punishment, as well as his prison." Karma and I, we're in a fight. Some people get what they deserve, some people don't. And each day passes, justice seems more and more like a literary conceit. And here I am. No one can absolve me. I gotta do the time. It's funny how fate works. I had no idea that the cage I was building all this time was a trap for me. And when I found myself here, locked in, I thought this was the end. Whatever this is, this feels right. Because this is home. For now.
Have you ever tried to cook the woman in the refrigerator? It's a pretty simple process. You start by taking her out, lovingly. After all, she died for your sake. Remember her as she was and dress her in warmth and sunlight. Thaw her pieces, her arms, her thighs, her breasts, among others on porcelain plates. If she has not been butchered, see to it that someone else does it for you. It won't help you if you did it yourself. When that's all done, it's time to season. Here's how to do it well. Start with anguish. Pour your grief onto her until you produce enough to marinate her in a heartbreak and regret. If the woman is still whole, you may choose to begin with denial. Put your ear to her breast and, futile as it may be, listen for a heartbeat. This will tenderize the meat. For added spice, you may infuse the dish with warm memories. Massage echoes of her laughter into soft, supple flesh, and score her skin with all you can remember of her sharp wit. If you must honor her sacrifice, this is the way to do it. Careful not to throw in too much attachment though. It won't end well. Now, the third step is to marinate before cooking. You have nothing left to lose and everything to gain. Her entire existence was hinged upon yours, but the same cannot be said in reverse. Her death, it gives you anger, it gives you reason, it gives you origin story, it gives you character development, it gives you a universe of opportunities that are yours for the taking. As loss makes a protagonist, the loss of her makes an interesting hero. Consider this nutritional value. Finally, cook her however you like. Regardless of the end results, you have salvaged her by acknowledging her at all. Your job here is done. Plate, serve, and enjoy. Oh, and pro tip for the newbies, do not scream if she spills out onto the floor and around your feet when you open the fridge door. Don't worry about it. That's how she was intended to be seen. Simply throw her back in and try again when she's worth the trouble. Happy cooking!
I'm gasping, seeing this for the first time, believe it or not, that my directors from Directing 2 class have put together this series of monologues. They're disturbing, they're a little creepy. These pieces have done their work because an old girl like me who's been around is feeling a little bit shaken too. Um, let's call on Kyla and Samantha and let's talk to them about the piece. Samantha, Kyla, where's Samantha?
Hello, I'm Sam.
Hello, 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 hello. Okay, so tell me the truth. Confess. Is this about you?
Well,
No, definitely.
I hope not, because the love that was presented in this is so unhealthy.
yeah. No, but these are based on stories, though, like we said, that we got from letters that we collected from the start. So, the sentiments were there. And these are words and thoughts that come from actual real people.
Okay, so which words are coming from real people? Because I'm concerned then about the state of love amongst the young. you know, tell me, which
Was
part? Yes, Samantha.
it was combined. We devised them together, so we just cut lines here and there to connect all of them into one monologue.
Okay, okay. There's some murder that happens. There's insanity. I actually am actually more scared about the woman cooking, cooking so nonchalantly. Uh, so it is, and the toxicity.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say in these pieces?
What we really wanted to highlight here is the value of like the two individuals within a relationship. How and well, by pointing out the bad side, what it shouldn't be like. And yeah, like in the comments that we've been reading, people really do realize the toxicity of the whole thing. But sometimes when you're in it, you're so into it, like so emotionally invested in a relationship that you don't actually see things like how negative it actually is. So there.
Yeah, I mean, being in love can be a kind of madness, as the romantics would say, right? Um, of course, in our more contemporary times, there are many ways of being in love that are healthy, but it is tenuous always.
Yeah.
It's sometimes a delicious madness, right? And sometimes it is not, as you can see with the bloody knife and that recipe. Anyway, very interesting pieces that we've seen. We've seen this whole afternoon, Samantha and Kyla, and you as directors, put on your director's cap. Why don't we comment also on the pieces that you saw earlier? What is your first impressions? Don't think too much. Just say what's on your mind.
Well, when we first saw it, well, because we've seen RJ's piece first, like beforehand, but like it was today that we first saw Michael's and Jerry's pieces, and bigat talaga. Like there's this other depth to it na even and it was really impressive then, like given that we're all working in the same situation that we have to work with what we have at home and that they're able to come up with these pieces. It was pretty impressive overall.
Yes, Samantha.
Um, it was very interesting how, like Kyla said, how little we have at home, how they can turn it into something very beautiful, very inspiring, and that something that hits deep. Um, and I liked what they did with the lighting.
what I noticed was all three, um, they had very moody lighting, very specific lighting that they wanted, and I was personally, it captured me. It made me want to watch.
Yes, I appreciate your comments, especially now that you're putting a director's hat on. Um, and uh, I'd, what I'd like to know in your process of making your own pieces, why did you choose these particular sources to make into something whole for us today? What did
For
you notice about this piece? Yes.
for me, why the series U, or why this whole concept for the character of him, personally, I think it's because of the dissonance of the character of in the show of you, his intentions, his actions, and his thoughts in the show, like how he pretends to be this really sweet and lovable and caring guy, um, but when in fact, on inside, he's probably the most dangerous guy you could possibly meet. And in this day and age, it's important to it's important for people to specifically it's important for people, specifically for women, because they tend to be preyed upon, um, opportunistic men,
Mm.
especially in a woman's vulnerable state. And I think it's also important, that give we show how toxic relationships can be very, very dangerous, especially for um, one's own health. Yeah.
One owns life in this case,
Yeah.
right? Yes, it's quite telling the choices that you've made. I was hoping that you would have actually some positivity and some good luck in love, you know, especially we just survived Valentine. And you mentioned the vulnerability of women, especially, and we're celebrating Women's Month in March. March 3, I think, is Women's Day. So it's interesting to bring that up. And that makes me want to hear from you, Kyla, since you were the one who directed her, the pieces
Yeah.
of her.
So
Uh,
for her in writing, choosing the pieces for her, um, and because how do I explain this? The idea to use spoken word poetry was actually a deliberate choice, not just because they had an interesting way of illustrating ideas, but because I wanted to push that stereotype of that naivety and that dreamer kind of aspect to a woman in a relationship, which is more stereotypical, but it also helps to justify like how it could be. It's the extreme, like how Sam shows the extreme of what it means to be a toxic male in a relationship. Same with a female, or even not just the two polar opposites between the two. So yeah, it was, so that's why I chose to use poetry. But then for the letters though, in general, actually, like this is something that Sam and I shared. Then the choice to use letters, to use words of people that people actually wrote, this was a choice because we wanted to emphasize nga, that these are real sentiments. Like there is a truth to these words. They're not just like words written out for entertainment, for shows, for plays, but these are actually in like genuinely meant like ideas and statements. So yeah.
well, my hope is that you ladies and all of you who are watching are not so cynical yet about love. There are still possibilities for a healthy relationship amongst friends, amongst buddies, amongst lovers. You know that it's still possible. But this is a fair warning that you've given us. I'd like to call upon also RJ and Michael to join us in this conversation because I also would like to ask them, hello, how are you doing, Michael? Did you
Hi, good
survive? Have you
afternoon.
survived?
Yes, I survived.
And where is RJ? Hello, RJ.
I'm
Um,
here. Hello.
I want, since all of you have created these pieces, because Michael and RJ, I believe, have created the pieces themselves. So have you, Kyla and Sam. What I'd like to ask you is, as the creators of these pieces, what are some of the issues and problems that you faced? Give me an example, and how did you solve it, so that we can um, inspire our people who are watching that theater can still happen as such. Okay, go. Whoever wants to go first.
Hi.
Hi,
I'll go
Michael.
first. Siguro yung problem lang talaga na-encounter ko is yung outside noise. Kasi parang we cannot control like, kunyari yung pagtaho ng mga aso sa labas, ganyan. So parang what I did is, nag-shoot na lang ako late at night, ganun, para to prevent the noise from happening. Kasi usually pag gabi, wala masyadong ingay. And para rin maramdaman ko yung feeling na parang creepy, eerie vibe na parang ako na rin gising mag-isa na nag-shoot. So parang, yeah.
Parang method
Yes.
acting. Okay.
So parang it helped me na parang ma-internalize yung parang scare factor. So yeah.
Okay, so you did it in the middle of the night,
Mm.
so that you could be creeped out also.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
Me po.
Yes,
Ah,
RJ.
Nung sinusulat ko yung pyesa, ang inisip ko kagad yung kung ano yung pwede kong gamitin na set. Since yung bahay namin, wala naman malaking space talaga. So, ang ginawa ko na lang, kasi ang navivisionary ko dun is, nasa kulungan nga, since parang nalagay siya sa lata or something. Ang ginawa ko, since wala naman ako ibang pagpupuntahan para gawin tong piece na so, yung kama, yung parang skeleton, yung katawan ng kama namin, medyo tinayo ko siya para magkaroon ng parang kulungan affecting para lang mapakita na nakakulong ako, and then yung kalahati ng kama namin, yun yung doon ako nagpe-perform. And medyo struggle din siya. Dama ko din yung struggle kasi medyo butas-butas yun. So,
Okay, okay.
yeah, ganun po. Nasolve po, ganun.
You know, RJ, that if you were really going to be true to Buto, you were supposed to be a naked baby, because no baby wears shorts in the feet, in the stomach, right? In the womb. It's a joke. It's a joke. So anyway, I'm glad that you did wear something, or sort of been shocked. Yes, that's very interesting. So you have the constraints of space. What about you, Kyla and Sam?
Mine was really the internet. I have really, really bad Wi-Fi and internet. So it was hard to communicate with Kyla, with her actors. And it was also hard to upload it. It was hard to combine all the files together. Yeah, that's my.
Okay, Kyla, what about you?
For me naman, my problem was honestly the scheduling with the actor, because you know how life goes on still during this pandemic. And so sometimes we run different timelines, and same, sometimes you have internet problems and then their Wi-Fi is down or yours is down, and then you have to cancel and reschedule again. But then you find a way and you learn to be a bit more resourceful. So like what I did one time was we couldn't figure out the schedule for rehearsals. So I just gave her instructions and then she sent in videos for readings, and then it was over like chat na lang or like an email that we started like coordinating certain directions.
Okay, so you were able to actually prevail despite limitations of the internet, your domestic spaces, and the risks that you were taking, actually, because we're looking into your homes, right? We're looking into your homes, we're looking into your spaces. And what I notice about these pieces, though they may not be grand in their production values as such, they're very profound in their feeling and meaning. So it's like we've gone inward in a way. We've gone deeply inward. Michael's piece actually may have been a little bit more performative because he's researching this demon woman, but he made it about himself being possessed, right? And his face, and we could see all his beauty products that were there too.
Oh my
And
God,
we-
that's not sponsored.
so we could see that, and then we also like your actors, Kyla and Sam. I'm not sure where the young woman did her shoots. I didn't know where she did it. Did she do it in her home, or did
Yes,
she go
at
to?
home lang din
Okay,
po.
so those are all home scenes, right? They were all in your domestic spaces, which you somehow managed to make come alive with your stories. You made use of what was around you, which I find very resourceful. And in fact, some of our people in the audience are saying that this is a very resourceful use of space, despite the limits of the internet, despite Wi-Fi, and despite scheduling, and then you really have to just make it happen. Do you think your stories that you want to tell have been influenced by these limits? In other words, does the medium dictate your message?
For me and Sam, I don't think so.
Hmm.
The medium dictates how it's said. I mean, how it's told. There are some things that work better on stage, and some things that work better for like close-ups or like film type video production. So it's just a matter of adjusting, but it never really hindered us in terms of getting what we wanted to say across to the audience. So
Okay, what about you, Sam?
Um, Sorry, it lagged. I didn't hear the question.
Did the medium that you used, did it affect the message that you wanted to convey?
Oh, for me personally, no. Because we initially approached, this whole thing as to be a staged reading, staged monologue, but of course, we can't do that right now, so we had to record it in a way na it wouldn't be considered as like a film, or um, yeah. So basically, we just treated them as how we would treat a live theater show. So we built a soundscape, we directed our own production design, and um, we emphasized truth on our actors. We just told them to um, build on their instincts, do what they feel like um, once the camera hits record.
Okay, that's actually very interesting because, we theater people, we like to say we are the mother of all arts, right? Of course, film people have another idea because it's another medium completely. And of course, the other artists think that they're the mother, but between all of us here and the other 117 who are watching, theater is the mother. We are the root. Of course, acting for the camera is very different than acting for stage, right? It's a different way because you don't see an audience, you're not getting the energy of the audience, but you're only looking at the camera. And sometimes it's too big because when we're theatrical, it comes out too much. Like now, my eyes are so big, right? I have to be more subtle. Maybe I just have to look like this or something. So these are some of the things that we learn as we are learning more about acting for camera or the stage. This is very interesting. Anything you'd like to add, Michael or RJ? And RJ, I mean.
Okay po. Siguro po yung about po kanina, yung question niyo po, Doc Suni, kung I mean, na kung paano siya ginawa kasi intended siya like for theater nga. And katulad ng Buto Theater, nag-come up siya nanggaling siya sa isang problema. Ang ginawa ng theater ay nag-adapt sa sitwasyon. So just like now, theater ay dapat na magpatuloy, kailangan patuloy pa din siya nag-ano kahit na madaming problema. Katulad na ito medyo mahirap pero kailangan kayanin talaga. Kasi ang theater kailangan mag-adapt kasi kung hindi natin i-adapt yung theater sa mga sitwasyong nangyayari sa paligid, mawawala, mamamatay siya. So, yun, patuloy lang sa paggawa.
No, RJ.
Kaya bawal maghinto sa paggawa. Yes, amen.
Yes. Theater will never die.
Yeah, so
it
kailangan
may transform. It may take on another body, but it will never die.
Yes.
Yes, Michael.
Hi. Well, for me naman po, it's the same as everyone na parang it taught us to adapt to the situation. Like, for example, there's a part dun sa performance na kailangang patayin yung ilaw. And parang it's an example of using the resources that we have. Like, parang for me kasi yung vision ko, I want it to be scary. Ganon. I don't have the proper lighting naman na equipment to have that eerie vibe. So parang I asked my brother, okay, dito sa part na to, patayin mo yung ilaw Ganyan. So parang naging effective siya in a way na parang yung message na kasi yung intention kasi I just want to scare. I want to scare. Ganon. So parang I think I got work naman siya. Ganon. Thank you.
Yes. That's very good. So let's open it to people who are watching. Now, can we listen? Do you have any questions, any comments? How would you like to share? Our chat is full of comments, all positive and inspired by what you have presented. They're inspired because they're also theater people and they can see that it can happen in an interesting way. There are people who've responded very viscerally to the stories that have been presented. Is there anyone, could we make this a gallery view so we can see everybody, so that anybody who wants to voice their opinion or voice their questions, so we can also see them? Shema, Cheng, can we do that?
Sunita, there are a couple of people who've raised their hands.
Okay, but I cannot see them because I don't have a gallery view. Let me do that. Oh, so sorry about that. Oh, there I am. There it is. Yes. See how my technologically challenged myself. Yes, here we have Kibilan Adriana Frances and Jane. Yes, hi.
Hi, Miss.
Hello, how are you?
Just an audience member lang and a performer. Ang galing yung performances talaga, like nakita ko. Yung first performance, sobrang natakot ako doon because like parang yung effects and everything. I really loved of how you guys both worked together to make sure that this performance was really great. Like I saw the comments and then every single one of us, especially the ones who are in theater class, you guys really put so much effort to really making this person feel scared or feels a lot of suspense or yung drama. Like you really made them feel like that they're really there, and then you really made them feel what the character is feeling on stage. So round of applause. I really appreciate it. Ang galing mo talaga, guys. Thumbs up. Maybe we can have more like this. It's just sobrang amazing, guys. Like no words whatsoever as a performer and as an audience member. Like wala talaga, miss. I'm just so in awe with all your performances, and I really.
So you can do this for your final project too in my class.
Yes. Who knows? But overall, the direction, the performances, the lighting, the sounds, how everything was put together is just chef's kiss, guys. Like
Good.
know
I'm
it.
glad
So,
that the internet had cooperated with us also. I was really a nervous wreck about that. Jay, Lawrence Kunanan, hello. Good to see you.
Hi, Doc
Hi,
Suni. Hi, everyone.
how are you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm doing great. All right, and congratulations to everyone who presented their works. Yeah, so actually, I felt very happy, watching these performances to actually see that, we actually use theater or performance as a way of, adapting to any circumstances that we are into. So yeah, congratulations to that. And I've seen several virtual performances already, and um, this is very interesting kasi I've seen like readings even from professional theater companies, and what surprised me now is to actually see a collaboration kasi what I see from before, like the performances of the first three, those are individual, they directed it, they designed it, and they performed it. But for him and her, what surprised me was the collaboration between the director and the actors. So yeah, so if we can do that, if that is possible, and theater is a very collaborative form, and I know that I have my students here who are production design majors. So now I think the challenge naman for us is how we can recreate the entire theater experience, or the entire theater collaboration, including the technical people, the designers, into those artistic decisions, into making these pieces. So yeah, that's kind of something to look forward to, na how designers and other artistic people can contribute into making these kinds of performances. Katulad nga ng sinabi ni RJ kanina, he had to decide for the set, for his space. And I think it would be great if the designers can help, the directors, the choreographers, the actors, and we just need to find the right way of communication and means of working para it's a whole theater collaborative experience for all of us. Yun po. So, yeah, congratulations to all the presenters, and I hope we can, amplify these kinds of presentations and shows. Yun po.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, J-Lo. Kyle has something to say. Where's your face? There you are. Okay.
Hello, guys.
Hi, Kyle.
Ayun. Ah, first of all, ang galing nung sa kina RJ and Michael. Tsaka kay Jerry. Kasi yung incorporation ng I assume finals nila to for West Asian history, theater history, Asian theater.
Yeah.
Yung ang ganda kasi nakikita mo yung possibility na gamitin yung mga Asian devices sa na hindi natin masyadong nakikita sa film, Pinoy film, na makita siya i-perform right now with ang tawag doon, malalim na knowledge about it. Hindi lang siya, tulad nga na sabi nila, hindi lang siya for entertainment. Paano pa, tulad nung sabi ni Sir J-Lo, paano pa kung collaboration siya ng iba't ibang utak yung gumagana sa isang production. I think yung nakuha ko dun sa sinabi ni J-Lo is yung theater, yung core niya is the collaboration. It being interdisciplinary, it should be, kahit na virtual siya, I think there is a possibility na ma-solidify na merong virtual theater as long as there is a collaboration. And yung kila Kyla, guys, Kyla, Sam, congrats and good luck sa inyong thesis. Malapit na. Ayun.
Thank you, Kyle.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, bumili na ba kayo ng tickets? Charot. Okay. So yung kina Kyla, tulad nga nung lagi ko tinatanong kay Doc Suni sa mga talk every time, is what is an effective way to represent the minorities, the stigma? Is it to mirror reality or to shape it? Stanislavski or Brecht, ganyan. So, babasahin ko na lang yung sinulat ko. To mirror reality or shape it, because our radicalized generation calls out the general misrepresentation of women being naive, preyed upon, and submissive as such. But this particular piece, Him and Her, is brilliant because it gives you the reality of men's predatory tendencies and its extremity, yung ilong ko, and women being objectified and their actualization. So kumbaga yun dito sa particular piece na to, yung kagandahan ng pagtahi ng dalawang piyesang yan is nagkaroon siya, binigyan niya ng dalawang side yung him tsaka her. Binigyan niya, hindi niya inantagonize yung him and her, pero pinakita niya yung extreme tendencies ng dalawa. And pinakita niya na women are not all submissive and naive. They are strong. They could be even stronger than men. So ang ganda ng piyesa. And thank you guys. Thank you this an opportunity na to.
Thank you, Kyle. Any other questions or comments that you'd like to share, people? This is an opportunity for us to talk, and you know how hungry we are for conversation and some connection. I'd also like to mention the thing about collaboration, especially for the pieces that are the solo pieces. They already have mentioned that they needed the help of the people that they live with, their family members, to help them make the piece, right? It may have been a solo piece, but they still needed somebody who was there to be the voice, to turn on the light, to help them make the piece, even if the person that we're seeing is only one person. Of course, the collaboration between Sam and Kyla was more obvious. Because they were tasked as the directors to make something happen. However, I also told them, if they cannot find actors, they have to do it themselves. They have to be their own director, their own actor, their own production designer, their own sound person. They have to do it. So basically, they're absorbing everything they know about theater using this medium. Okay, so there's that to think about for future projects that we are doing and making happen despite the lockdown. Let's see, there might be a question here. Yes, Chang is reminding everybody to please answer the feedback form so that we will know how to improve and know how you think. Isabel, you have a question. Can you show yourself, please? Isabel Suibagio?
Yes po. I think yung cam ko po hindi po siya nagko-connect sa laptop.
Okay, then we can hear your voice at least. That's great.
My question lang po kay Kuya RJ po. When it comes to his piece po kasi, it talked about parang abortion. So, did he worry about sa mga parang para pong comments ng audience towards his piece? Kasi nga may mga students here din po na pro-choice, ganyan po, na about sa abortion, ganyan. Did he worry po? Ayun po.
RJ?
Okay po. Isa sa mga purpose ng theater kung bakit tayo nagpapalabas is para magkaroon ng pag-uusap, magbukas ng isang conversation. So, gaya nung isang sinabi ng isang director na si Chris Melado, sinabi niya na kapag gumagawa ka ng palabas, dapat hinahayaan natin mag-isip, mag-decide ano yung iisipin ng mga manonood at hayaan silang mag-interpret kung ano yung pinalabas mo, pinanood mo. And in my case naman, yes, I'm prepared for that, pero I'm more of kasi mas siguro own interpretation ng mga audience kung paano nila tignan yung palabas. sana nasagot ko yung tanong mo.
Yeah, I mean, this question also came up in class when he went. I was looking when we were looking at the piece, and he was talking about it from the perspective of the baby um, who was uh, uh, who was aborted, um, which was which made a lot of us uncomfortable, whether we were pro-choice or pro-life. But it did bring a very fresh perspective to the life, to the question, and opens it up for discussion, I believe, whether you are or pro-choice or pro-life, whatever side you're on, because abortion is a complicated issue. Plus, we are also in a country where it is not done legally. It's not permitted. It is unlawful, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Okay, and it doesn't mean that it's not done. The perspective, I think what also may have inspired RJ was that one of the Bhutto exercises is to imagine oneself as a fetus. That's one of the basic Bhutto exercises. How would you feel if you were inside your mother's belly, your mother's womb, with all the water and placenta around you? How would you experience your fingers, your toes, your body as a fetus? I mean, it. We may remember it, we may not, but as an actor, the exercise for Bhutto requires you to actually feel all that sensual, the sensuality of that, or the ickiness of that, however you want to look at it. So I think that inspired RJ to think about that, and that's how he got the idea of this controversial piece, this thought-provoking piece. So I thought it was very interesting to show it to us, to all of us today. Phoebe, you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, I have a question for any of the people who presented today. I know Jerry's not here, so just the four. Aside from the elements of Japanese theater being like a vessel for things that are scary or disturbing or baka mahirap pag-usapan, parang there's a shared string of something that's dark and macabre in all of the pieces. Jerry has a very disturbing dance. RJ is, of course, the whole thing is in itself a disturbing question. With Michael, there's the obvious horror element. And sa him, the guy is obviously very toxic and murderous. And especially in the last part of the her, if you look at her whole journey, it's like from thinking about more lighthearted but still very toxic kinds of love to just straight up cooking someone. Why do you think there is a gravitation to talking about things in that way? The stuff that's hard to talk about, the stuff that's dark. Because we could talk about these things in a more lighthearted way, but everyone's chosen the heavier path. I want to ask why that is.
Yeah, even I want to know. Even I want to know this choice of subject matter and manner. You're right, and the genre that's chosen. Of course, Michael's piece is a little bit lighthearted, and the last monologue of the cooking was done with some kind of nonchalance, though there was an underbelly of darkness there for sure. Anybody like to say something? Kyla, Sam, RJ, Michael, what is this fascination with the dark and eerie?
Okay. I think honestly, it's this maybe I don't know because we didn't plan it that it would all just be like macabre. It was all incident. It was coincidental that it all happened to have like these like shock factors. But I think it's in those moments kasi that we also learned about this that sometimes you have to shock your audience by presenting a certain part of reality na for it to actually get through to them. It's that moment of sometimes it's not an overt like scare factor. Sometimes it's in the things that they say. It could be as subtle as like the last piece of the monologue. Yes, like what Kyla's saying, disturb the comfortable and comfort the disturbed.
Yes.
This whole idea that parang because sometimes people are also remove themselves so much from what they're present from what's going on stage and then in theater, but you have to realize that in theater we also present truths. There's always something true to what we're showing, what we're staging, and it's in those moments that you realize in it internally as an audience member that I think the scariest factor in all of these really is the truth to everything that we are saying, like in all of the pieces. Because, and so maybe the, how do you say, maybe the shock factors, those scary moments, those jump scares and all, the eerie theatricality of it, maybe those are just devices. But I feel like if you really were shocked as an audience, it would not have been parang it would have been an internal realization of how parang the piece affected you rather than like being because of this whole because of the design of the whole piece and stuff. So yeah. Did that answer it? I hope that answered it.
Well, you know, people might say that we are living in such times, in absurd times. And when absurd theater was, when contemporary theater, which you're going to be in my class for, Phoebe, in contemporary theater and in absurd theater, a lot of this was faced. The beautiful, the lovely, the harmonious was looked upon as false when the reality was not such, right? And so one way to deal with it is to be absurd and to be creepy and to look at the gore, right? Aristotle himself said you need to purge it, right? There has to be catharsis. Maybe this is one way of looking at it. If you can contain it in a piece, in an art piece, you can hold it and then it goes away, right? If you can act it, you can hold it and control it and it can go away. Next time we'll do a comedy fest. Okay, maybe I'll do a humor fest. Let's all laugh instead. Even if the jokes are raunchy, even if the jokes are politically incorrect, well, I think we'll have a humor fest next. Just to keep a balance, which is also what the classicists used to do. Tragedy, and then you had comedy, and then you had raunchiness, right? Because you have to run the gamut of emotions. So that's a good something that I should think about the next time. We have time for one more question, it seems. Darcy, I've not heard you, so let's give you the floor. Hi, Darcy. How are you?
Hello po. I just want to say first and foremost, congratulations to everybody. You've done such a good job, and I could not even word what I wanted to say, and that's how amazed I am. So thank you so much. My question is, since we miss theater very much, and we all know that we are longing to be on stage very, very soon, I am genuinely curious as a director, and this could be answered by anybody. How would you envision your piece on stage? As general as possible, and you could add like a lot of, you can describe the lighting, you can describe the sound. I just want to hear out your imaginative side when it comes to putting it on stage talaga. So please enlighten me. Thank you so much.
So this is like an imagination exercise. Who'd like to go?
Can I go first?
Sure, Michael.
Hi. So for me po, ang na-envision ko po is parang nasa alley theater siya. Then there's an audience on the side. Tapos very dark, and the only light is the computer. So parang it revolve the story around it. So parang yung set design yung parang na-envision ko for it. So yun lang. Yeah.
Okay. What about the others?
Ako po. Medyo pangarap. I mean, na-imagine ko siya bigla na parang naka-harness yung baby. Nakasabit lang siya all throughout the show. It's
Budget.
like, may budget. Sorry. I mean, naka-harness lang siya, moving around, moving, dancing, parang, and then at the end of the story, parang I mean, habang yung story ah, naglalakad yung story, pangat lang siya ng pangat. Hanggang yun, makuha na siya ng langit ni Lord. Something.
So
Yeah.
instead of going down, the child goes up. Interesting, Parang naging angel, guardian, rather than just being thrown in a can. Interesting. Maybe as your director, I would have chosen the darker side, that you'll be coming down from the harness and you'd be thrown away in a can. But that's me. I like yours better. It's more redemptive, right? That there's something. Anybody else? Our directors.
For my character, for him, for the first monologue, I was just thinking, just two posts, like a poste, two postes, just there, and like stairs. So it would be like he's going out of his apartment, like his doing his everyday morning routine, ganon. And then he just happens to see his neighbor who just moved in or who he has never seen before. So, and I'm imagining just like proscenium lang for for all three monologues. And then for the second and third, just like a room, a box type room, that just has a bed and a table with a drawer and nothing else, and the door, of course. But yeah, no like you can't open the door from inside, so only from outside. That's my imagination for him.
In collaboration with Sounds. No, actually, for him, her as a piece, I think a fun way to stage it would be to scatter the acting areas around a like black box theater. So that, because again, these are people who are supposed to be just about anyone within a crowd, right? So it would be interesting to see things na maybe there's one set area for the room for the interior sets, and then others can be from within the audience area or some highlighted points. Like for example, I think it would actually like maybe suggestion kay Sam, like it would probably like make it creepier if him was actually within the audience and watching her like somewhere else, right? So and then simple na parang there are no walls, no actual like walls around, because yeah, it's supposedly people who are everyday people and within people you can relate to, so even as an audience. So yeah, that's
This is
dramatic lighting.
this is making me die to go back to SDA campus, because I'm going to take your idea one step further, and we will conclude with that remark because it's me, I guess. I would take him and her actually to school, to the places in school. Darcy, this is for you. Listen. So, so for example, the scene where she's cooking, I would actually have her go to Shrimp, to one of the kitchens, to cook there. And the room which you're talking about, Sam, for him, I would actually take them to UPAD or one of the dorm rooms in school. So if she's in a coffee shop, actually to be in a coffee shop, maybe what's our coffee shop nearby, whatever it is, Starbucks or whatever, to actually do it there and have the audience go from place to place. It's going to be a complication, a production nightmare, but it will be interesting to be mobile like that, to have our audience go from place to place, with actual places, the permissions that we need to ask, of course, and of course, we're going to put our Associate Dean Magda into trouble. Shema also will have to work very hard, but why not? It's theater, right? And we are the School of Design and Arts, plus we are Benilde's Arts and Culture Cluster. We do crazy things like that, right? We experiment like that. On that note, people, this has been a wonderful discussion. We can keep on talking about theater for days, and there will be other back talks and other showcases. Now I give it to our beloved Associate Dean, Magda, who will tell us more about the wonderful things that BACC does. Go, Magda.
Okay, so thank you, RJ Rosales, Michael Hilao, Kyla, Ravago, and Samantha Campos, as well as Doc Suni, our esteemed moderator. Thank you, everyone, for spending your afternoon with us. We would also like to acknowledge the presence of the following key people, schools and universities, performing arts groups, and institutions by extending our deepest gratitude for attending our event. Lucrecia R. Casilag Senior High School, Philippine Normal University, Philippine College of Health and Sciences, Teatro Tayo, West Visayas State University, Don Mariano Marcos Memorial State University, South La Union Campus, Icarus Theater Collaborative, and Benilde Antipolo. We would appreciate your support in our upcoming events this month through our very own music productions, Tune In, Music, and Wellness. So this is going to be on March 5, 1 p.m. via Zoom. And the theater arts programs, the thesis production of Batch 117, Lying Creatures. We're posting the show dates. Connect with us on Facebook. Just look up Benilde's Arts and Culture Cluster, and on Instagram as @Benilde Arts. So please respond to the feedback survey form. Can you also please go on camera for a group picture? This is for documentation and posting on our pertinent Benilde sites.
So theater prevails.